Welcome to another Liminal podcast, musings and conversations about personal and interpersonal growth and transformation. Brought to you by Liminal Transformational Coaching, and my name is Burgert Kirsten. To see more about what Liminal Transformational Coaching offers in terms of coaching, go to liminalcoaching.com. I offer coaching for individuals, teams, and leaders, and also now relationship coaching. So if you're in a relationship, a couple, I offer coaching for couples. And most of my coaching I do online over Skype. Now, before we get into our conversation today, which is the last episode on a series on making friends with anxiety with An Bakkes, I want to tell you about a few things that's coming up that I'm very excited about. So, firstly, the next podcast series starts next week, and it's about resilience, and it's with Graham Williams, and it's going to be a 3-part series. And then in August, there are some workshops coming up. So, the Making Friends with Anxiety workshop that I'm doing with An Bakkes will be happening on the 19th of August in Durbanville. It's a full-day workshop. And we're also starting our online course, which will start on the 3rd of August. I think I might have said in the past on the 4th, but it's the 3rd of August. It's a Wednesday. And on the 4th of August, I'm doing a workshop called Team Innovation Through Improvisation. And I'm doing this with the Thought Leaders Academy, and it will be happening in Pretoria. And if you want more information about that, go to thoughtleaders.co.za. Yes, that's all the exciting things that are happening next month. Let's go to our last episode on making friends with anxiety. And the topic for this one is emotions and the body. Welcome to episode 6 of Making Friends with Anxiety with An Bakkes, and this is our last episode. So, I'm a little sad. This was fun, An.
Yeah, as you said, I was thinking last. It sounds so final.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to
Well,
do some more.
it's the end of a chapter, but next is doing some workshops together and some
Absolutely.
online programs. So if you want to join us for a full day Making Friends with Anxiety workshop, just go check on my website, liminalcoaching.com. In the left hand corner, there's a picture of a woman with an umbrella. You can register there. And you can also register for the online course that's going to be spread over 6 weeks on a Wednesday afternoon for an hour and a half. Well, Wednesday afternoon, if you are on South African or Central European time. Information is on the website. But let's get into this last topic on making friends with anxiety, and it's about emotions and the body.
Yes.
So what is the role, or what's the relationship between anxiety, emotions, and the body, An?
Well, I think we can ask that question on how does it not relate?
Yeah.
As you know, I've been doing some research on writing the book. And what struck me is in the corporate world, how somehow, I'm not completely sure where it came from, but how somehow we got told, or, I'm not sure whether we got told, whether we got taught, whether there was a mentorship involved, that emotions aren't healthy at work, or
Yeah.
not welcome for that matter.
Yeah, you need to leave your emotions at home because we're here to work. And it's almost like also emotions is not mature. If you're emotional at work, it's because you're immature and you need to leave that stuff at home.
Absolutely. So interestingly enough, that I was reading David Rock's book today, Um, and one of the things he says, it's not only important to have a healthy relationship and a healthy management of your emotions, but it's vital to make good decisions and to be healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I was thinking, yeah, there we have it in cold hard facts, the things that we experience every day. So when people start saying to me, but it's weak to feel, then I go, your body will become weak if you don't feel. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So when he calls it limbic arousal. In other words, when we're anxious.
Yeah.
When we're anxious, there are so many things that goes on in our brain that our body doesn't have the capacity to heal. Our immune system drops
Yeah.
and we become depressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've done studies over a long period of time to say that if we do not express our emotions,
Yes.
whether we, again, now we bring in judgment, whether we deem these emotions negative or positive,
Yeah.
depending on what belief system you have or on whether anger is positive or negative. If you don't express those emotions, they make you negative and depressed over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And so that comes back to our bodies that are so helpful when our minds can't think.
I love that. I love that. It makes me think of intuition. I've heard it
Yes.
being said that intuition is the wisdom of the body, and how much
Oh,
wisdom is in our bodies when we just listen to our bodies.
that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So often when we are highly intelligent, um, and we've got a really active and sometimes integrated brain, it's both our gift and our curse at some times
Mm.
because we are so good at rationalizing our emotions that we never feel them.
Mm.
So that comes back to the belief system that if an emotion is weak, I'll just rationalize it into something that is acceptable for my judgment system,
Yeah.
and there we go.
Yeah.
But what that does, that suppressed emotions, because now they don't get expressed,
Yeah.
they get suppressed.
So
So,
by rationalizing our emotions, we actually suppress it and we don't express it.
yeah, no, so rationalizing is a cognitive process in the new cortex. It's not in the limbic brain.
Yes.
So what then happens is we can't give language to our emotions because we're so afraid of them.
Yeah.
We've spoken about earlier. Am I weak? What will I feel? Will my emotions consume me? Um, I coached a couple this week, and they had to leave each other. They had to leave and close the session with one request to one another.
Mm, mm.
And ironically enough, the wife said to the husband, I need more mind conversation.
I
And the
need
husband
more
said to the wife,
mind conversation.
more mind conversation. She wants more cognitive interaction.
Okay.
And her husband said to her, that's fine. I need more heart interaction. I want you to feel more.
Ah, that's interesting.
And she kept quiet for a long time. She said, is that why you fight with me so often? He said, well, when I fight with you, it is the first time I really see my wife and not just the person from work.
Ah, ah. He wants to
Isn't it
see some
interesting how,
emotion. Yeah,
as
yeah,
a
yeah.
human being, yeah, we will do what we need to do to go find that connection,
Yeah, yeah. Even if
whether
it's
it's a healthy connection or
yeah,
not.
if it's even if it's we can connect because we're feeling frustrated or angry at each other. At least that's better than just connecting on this cognitive level.
Yeah, a very cerebral level. And she kept quiet for quite a while, and then she said, but feeling makes me feel afraid because I'm worried that they will consume me.
Ah, yeah.
And that was beautiful to hear. And then we spoke about some tools, breathing techniques that when you do feel your heart pounding a little to help you.
Yeah.
But it was quite a profound session for these two people and how they've grown so immensely.
Sure.
So coming back to emotions and the body,
Yeah.
it's never been proven that stress and anxiety and fear is the core source of making us sick.
Okay.
What has been proven that if you have any predisposition whatsoever to anything that's not healthy, stress, anxiety, and fear makes it worse.
Uh-huh.
To the point where gratitude can lift your immune system by 50%, long-term anxiety drops it by more than 70%.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So here's what I've heard about anxiety and stress and why it drops your immune system. You might have read it in David Rock's book, because I heard it in a David Rock, like a neuro leadership course I did, that when you feel anxious, you have limbic arousals, and that you go into basically your fight and flight response,
Mm.
and your body responds in a way to so that you can either fight effectively or run effectively. So
Yes.
so you release adrenaline and cortisol that gives you strength, muscle strength. You breathe faster. So everything that you experience when you feel anxious, sweating, slow, shallow breathing, heart palpitations, all of those physical responses is ways that your body prepares itself to run or fight.
Yes.
And all the other systems that are not so important at that stage gets shut down. So your immune system gets shut down, and the other system that shuts down is your neocortex, your thinking brain. So you can't think creatively, like you said in a previous podcast. You can't let any new information down in your system.
Mm.
You're not open to new ideas. You're not open. You can't have empathy. So that whole system, your prefrontal cortex, also kind of shuts down, because you don't need your thinking brain. You just need your physical, and you need to have this strength to run away or fight. So that all of those systems shuts down. And that's why you all have these negative impact in your body. Because now this is other interesting thing is how our emotional brain, or your also what you call limbic system, we we see physical threat the same way we see social threats.
Spot on.
Yeah. So all those social interactions that happen at work, our bodies respond in this fight flight way, and all these other systems aren't functioning at its best. And if we in this corporate environment where we say, okay, well, emotions aren't welcome here, or leave your emotions at home, we never deal with those things. So we just suppress all those emotions, and we sit with all these physical consequences.
Yeah. And what adds to that is when you said now that the danger, whether it's the lion in the road or whether it's the bully at the office, we perceive them the
Uh,
same on a
yeah,
physical level.
yeah,
Um, we have something that is called a fear memory. So
yeah,
something happens to you, and not only do you all remember the event, but you also remember the emotion associated to it.
yeah, yeah,
And depending on how intense that emotion was, you sometimes forget the event, but you only remember the emotion.
yes, yes,
Like Maya Angelou says, I can't remember what you said, but I remember how you made me feel.
yeah, yeah,
And then what happens is we encounter something similar,
yeah,
but maybe not that dangerous.
yeah,
And that storyline, that fear memory comes straight back in.
Yeah.
And we behave in a physical way the same way as if we're in deep danger. So sometimes, sometimes someone would put a rubber spider in your hands, and your fear
Yeah.
is way over the actual experience.
Yeah.
Because there's some fear memory that happens there. The same if you sit in a confrontational session with your spouse,
Yeah.
with your children, with a perceived dangerous situation. If you want to speak to someone about a new job or an interview or an increase,
Yeah.
those things, if there's situations that you feel very intense about, that memories just come up, and they actually interfere with your physical behavior. You start sweating, and then you can't remember. You cannot remember when you're that afraid. So from a physical perspective, your body's saying to your brain, there's too much happening in your body. I do not have the resources for you to think right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, we come back to the space that if we're in that physical and emotional state, we do not make healthy and good decisions.
Yeah.
So back to just acknowledging that emotion, just expressing it in a way that is healthy for both you and the other person.
Yeah. And here's I guess the thing is when we say express the emotion, I think people think, okay, I need to now to be angry and do something someone would do that's angry, or I need to, if I feel sad, I have to cry now. And people are
Not
afraid of,
necessarily specific.
yeah, exactly. But that's, I think, what people might think when feel like I need to leave my emotions at home is because I'm afraid of what I will do.
Yeah. And how that will be perceived. Again, the
Yes.
judgment that comes in.
Yeah.
How do I think other people will judge me?
Yeah.
And the belief systems will be, if I cry at work, what does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if I cry in front of my husband or my wife, everyone's relationships are different.
Yeah.
I think we've spoken about choosing and the importance of re-choosing. Knowledge doesn't always equal practice. If we practiced
Mm-hmm.
everything we knew, we would have all been fit and slim.
Yeah. Yeah.
and the diet world would not make a lot of money.
Mm.
But if we practice expressing our emotions regularly, they don't have to result in tears or a fist fight. And I'm using the extremes.
Yeah.
But you can walk into an office and someone can behave in a certain way, and you can say, that makes me really feel uncomfortable.
Mm. Mm.
That's all. And the more one expresses your feelings, even if you deem them unimportant, oh, well, I'm not that angry.
Yeah.
20 times not that angry ends in complete meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
So that continuous suppression, the pressure cooker then, it causes the moodiness. It causes, so some of the emotional symptoms that's linked to the body is there's a constant moodiness if you're anxious.
Yeah.
Constant irritability. Yeah, irritability there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I sometimes find that there's this constant intent to be displeased because there's something wrong and you don't know what it is. Because we
Ah.
don't want to look at ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just want to bring in a few. So we said our bodies are really, really helpful, and they are, because sometimes I want to bring this back to what we've said. If you're so intelligent that your mind sometimes stands in your own way,
Yeah.
your body is very helpful. So we've spoken about looking at patterns, looking at belief systems, looking at different behaviors. So I just want to give our listeners a few actual physical behaviors that we do when we're anxious.
Mm-hmm.
That if we can't feel our anxiety, these are our tips
Yes.
for ourselves.
Okay.
We eat too much or we eat too little.
Mm-hmm.
And the eating patterns are often, it's not a regular healthy eating pattern. As I said, far too much of all the wrong stuff,
Yeah.
or just we stop eating.
Yeah.
sleeping too much or sleeping too little.
Yeah.
Can't get out of bed, can't get to bed early enough,
Yeah.
insomnia, waking up at 3 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
This is physical behavior if we don't have a healthy relationship with our emotions.
Yeah.
We also get to a point where we start physically isolating ourselves from other people. When you don't want to answer your phone because you think, what else is someone wanting from me? I actually do not have the emotional capacity or physical capacity to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I don't answer the phone. I don't answer the email. I isolate myself from social events.
Yeah.
And then that turns into procrastinating and neglecting to do stuff, which in turn turns into guilt because you haven't done those things. Can you see the negative spiral?
Yes. Yes.
And then ones that we've spoken about often is the use of alcohol, cigarettes, drugs.
Yeah.
And I think you can put food into that category also
Could
when we
probably
get
put
to the
Facebook in that category as well.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And Twitter and
Internet
yeah, the
addiction.
things that absolutely. And then one of the last physical things I just want to mention is you may not be aware of it, but start observing your body if you do things that you didn't often do, like biting your nails, starting to itch. Often when we sew, we get eczema. We start to
Yes.
itch.
Yeah.
Your joints start to ache because you are so stressed that you actually can't relax when you do sleep. That IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Often when we feel non-supported, either financially, emotionally, or physically non-supported, we start having back problems.
Ah.
So these things, your body is so helpful. So when we start seeing these things, instead of saying, oh, again, it comes back to the mindset and the choice. If you start looking at these things and say, I wonder what's really bothering me that I'm having eczema all over my hands all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what happens every 2 weeks before I go for a scan.
Sure.
I get little blisters all over my hands, but
Yeah.
that's just my body's way of saying, all right,
I'm feeling
clearly you're still
anxious.
afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of then just treating it with some kind of something that just takes away the symptoms, to just be curious. It's like, okay, I'm noticing something in my body. What does this mean? What is my body telling me?
It's bringing back that observation with true curiosity. Again, in the last few weeks, I've read that if we can't observe, we actually cannot manage our emotions. It's that old saying of you can't see the wood from the trees.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's thinking about your thinking that I've only recently, you speak to clients and you make an observation and you say, I noticed you're often worried.
Yeah.
Oh, what makes you say that? And you use a few examples of their language. And then there's this aha moment of, I didn't realize, but I am constantly worried about something. And then just the observation that comes from that without the judgment. And because sometimes we use worrying as hiding as well, because then we don't have to look at what's really there, Again, the discomfort is more familiar and habitual than it is to go and look at what's really the root cause.
Yeah. 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 So slow down, become curious. What's going on here? And I think, like you said, sometimes we're afraid of what we might find. So that's why we rather just turn our backs on it and just try and survive.
Which brings us back to one of the things we said in the previous podcast that said sometimes we're so afraid that what we find out we might have to change, or we found out that we were wrong
Yeah.
about something or someone. And we associate that with a deep fear of failure,
Yeah.
which is not true. We're just ready to see something new.
Yeah.
And in order to see something new, And in order to think in a new way about something, we have to stop thinking in the old way.
And
And that's slow down.
to be curious. Curiosity says, I'm open to a new way of thinking.
And I'm not attached to my old way of thinking.
Yeah. So is that the bottom
So
line of, I'm wondering, because I'm sitting and I'm thinking, how can we close this great 6-part series? What is the golden nugget that if we
I
start doing
think
that?
if before we get to the golden nugget, I want to give you just a last few symptoms
Okay.
that people can check out for, and then we can co-create the golden nugget as we leave.
Okay.
So the things that are really important to look out for is if you constantly have aches and pains of some sorts, diarrhea or constipation,
Uh,
nausea and dizziness. Now, sometimes we don't necessarily react on the nausea, but it still stays on the pit of your stomach. Chest pain and rapid heartbeat, and sometimes that very shallow breathing, the loss of sex drive,
yeah.
and then frequent colds. Frequent cold, and interestingly enough, sores in your mouth.
Yeah.
Which is another way of bringing your immune system.
Yes, it shows you
bringing
your immune
down.
system's down, yeah.
So if we come back to the golden nugget, I would say that if we could be compassionate with ourselves and stop judging who we think we should be and just accept who we are and re-choose that every day, that's a hell of a step forward.
Yeah, acceptance. That is...
And acceptance, sorry?
Go for it.
Acceptance allows for gratitude. It allows for curiosity. It allows for flow. It allows for self-awareness. Because if I'm aware of what I do, the same places in my brain activate to be aware of what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so courage to look at what's there.
Yeah.
Compassion to ourselves when we see it. And then re-choosing that every single day.
Yeah. Yeah, making that a practice.
Yeah, take your knowledge and put it into practice.
Exactly. And when you don't get it right, have compassion with yourself, be curious, and do it again.
And then use the word next time instead of I should have.
I like that. So next time, we're going to be doing a workshop together, and we're going to take all of this beautiful insights and we're going to put it to practice, and we're going to help people to really find ways to put it in practice in their own lives.
And getting in touch with their bodies while they do that.
Exactly. Thank you, An, and I really look forward to that. And I look forward to having a larger audience present as we grapple with these things and share our stories and share our insights and share our failures and share our successes.
Absolutely. And by only doing that, we can learn from each other.
Yeah. So again, remember, go check it out on the website, liminalcoaching.com. You can register there for the full day workshop. That's going to be in August. We moved the date to the 19th of August. Or the online series that's going to be starting on the 4th of August. See you there.
Thank you so much. This was a fantastic series.
And it was so much fun.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.